Hello and welcome to Friday's Granada Reports, live across the northwest.
Yeah, good evening. Thanks so much for joining us. Here's what's coming up on the programme tonight.
A BMW smashes onto a main train line and ends up on its roof. Tonight the track remains closed. A man has been arrested.
The crash has led to a day of disruption for commuters travelling between Liverpool and Manchester. I'm at the scene with the latest.
Victims of two of the biggest medical scandals in modern history tell us they feel badly let down by the government as promises of compensation have failed to materialise.
I'll be live at Old Trafford as Manchester United kick off a big weekend of FA Cup action. The defending champions will need to get the better of a returning club hero if they're to reach the next round. Join me later in the programme.
I'm falling off the driveway into the night.
A Granada Reports exclusive first play of the new single by Stretford songstress Lou Saint, and we'll be hearing all about her rise to fame.
The last year has been like the craziest year of my life.
And it's from the east, but it's not really a beast. Find out what to expect from this somewhat colder weather.
But first, a main train line linking Liverpool and Manchester remains closed tonight, causing major travel disruption after a car driven by a suspected drunk driver crashed onto the tracks.
Yeah, the BMW came to rest on its roof in the railway cutting, bringing power lines down with it. Thankfully, no services were running at the time on the section of the track at the end of the M602 in Salford.
But it has caused a day of disruption as engineers make emergency repairs and try to clear the track of debris.
Well, for the latest on this evening, here's our reporter Emma Sweeney.
Now, it was about 2 o'clock this morning when police were called here to Regent Road roundabout in Salford to reports that a car had come off the M602 slip road there to the left, had come right through those trees, right along this pedestrian walkway and through the concrete barrier here to the right. The car then landed on its rooftop on the train tracks below. Now, given the way in which the car landed, it is a miracle really that the individual inside didn't sustain any serious injuries. The man in his 30s has since been arrested on suspicion of dangerous driving and remains in police custody. Now, as I say, this happened in the early hours of the morning. There weren't many people around, but had it happened at a time like this, it could have potentially affected many more people. Nonetheless, there has been a lot of chaos here today. There's been no trains going between Manchester and Liverpool. We're told that it will remain like that until at least 10 o'clock tonight because the engineers are still having to work to repair the cables down below on the railway track. Now, in a couple of hours' time, Manchester United are going to be playing at Old Trafford. That isn't far from here. Potentially, some of those fans could be affected by the chaos that has unfolded here today, and that is why commuters are being told to plan ahead and to keep an eye on any travel updates before they set off.
Emma Sweeney reporting there. Well, next tonight, victims of two of the biggest medical scandals in modern history have told Granada Reports they feel badly let down by a lack of government action 1 year on from a landmark report which said they should have been paid compensation.
England's Patient Safety Commissioner called for immediate financial redress for thousands of pregnant women whose babies were born with lifelong disabilities linked to an epilepsy medication. She also recommended payments for people who were left in chronic pain after being fitted with pelvic mesh implants.
Our political correspondent, Leisha McNally, now takes up the story.
Theirs is a friendship forged by pain. Mandy and Indira have spent years campaigning to halt the use of a medical treatment that left them battling nerve damage, mobility problems and brain fog and cost them their careers and their independence.
Pins and needles going down my legs. I still got those going down my legs. Pain in the coccyx because the mesh I had was actually screwed into the coccyx. I'm not able to open my bowels normally. I have to do daily irrigation. It has a really big impact on my life.
Pelvic mesh is a net-like implant used to treat incontinence, but it can erode and harden, cutting through tissue and damaging organs. Thousands of women reported issues after the surgery. Often, their concerns were dismissed.
I was banging my head on a brick wall. You know, I was told that cannot possibly stick in you, when if you'd have examined me, you could feel it. It was there. to put it in such a deep area with no plan how to get that out is horrendous to me.
Mandy and Indira have joined the Sling the Mesh campaign in a fight for answers and compensation. But this isn't a story about just one scandal, it's a story about two. In 2020, an independent review examined the impact of pelvic mesh alongside a second medical controversy, the drug sodium valproate. It's an effective treatment for epilepsy but can cause birth defects if prescribed to pregnant women, and many weren't properly warned of the risks. The review into both treatments found
these interventions had caused avoidable harm to thousands of people, tens of thousands of people.
That was 5 years ago, when Baroness Cumberledge recommended that compensation be paid to victims of mesh and sodium valproate. 1 year ago, another report set out exactly how the payments could work. Payments the report's author said were urgent, payments which have not been made.
My message to the government 1 year ago was get on with it. And although the government has changed, my message remains the same. Waiting for redress doesn't put the suffering of those who've been harmed on pause. They need help right now, and I urge the government to act and listen to the voices of patients.
Why do you think a compensation scheme isn't in place yet?
I think there are concerns about the size, the scale, but also the uncertainty of the numbers who might be harmed, and that's why I set out a two-stage redress process.
That was a year ago. Do you feel a bit let down?
Well, I feel that the patients have been let down by successive governments, by all different parts of the healthcare system. There's a big difference between warm words to patients and money landing in their accounts. And I think the government and the previous government have struggled with how to square that. I've published a sensible plan. I would direct them to the options that I've set out for redress.
That's something Janet and Emma desperately want to see. The two mothers from Lancashire say they're on a never-ending road. Both are raising disabled children who were exposed to sodium valproate, and both have spent decades fighting to help families like theirs, coming to Westminster again and again and again.
You're to and fro yet again. Warm words before the election. We had the majority of Labour MPs on side at that point, but since the election it's all changed. And we find now that it's fighting to get that interest again now.
What's the mood like among the families you represent?
They're devastated. They're always waiting, and they shouldn't have to wait. We've proven that it was the government's fault. The government knew this medicine would harm babies in utero, and they ignored that. And families are just exasperated at the moment.
At some point this has got to stop. And these families have got to be compensated for what they've been put through.
And the warm words and the platitudes, that has to stop as well, because the insult, you're just continuing to insult our families and our children. You know, we want action now.
Do you feel that the government is listening?
Maybe.
Maybe not.
We asked the government when the payments would begin. They said this is a complex area of work. The Health Minister met with some of those affected before Christmas and has committed to providing an update to the Patient Safety Commissioner at the earliest opportunity. But for people like Janet and Emma, Mandy and Adrina, and many, many others, that means the wait goes on, while they live with the ongoing impact of medical intervention that promised help and delivered harm. Leisha McNally, ITV News.
Well, let's take a look at some more of the day's news now. A Greater Manchester police sergeant has been jailed for sexually assaulting 2 women. Both of Richard Mill's victims were employed by the police. One was a fellow officer. He's been sentenced to 18 months behind bars and placed on the sex offenders register for 10 years. GMP said gross misconduct proceedings will be brought now the criminal case is over.
2 men have been charged after a double stabbing in the Longside area of Manchester. A teenage boy and a man are in hospital with serious injuries. Mohammed Ali Saim, who's 20, and Adam Mehdi Benacher, who's 21, have been charged with assault and possessing an offensive weapon.
A man from Greater Manchester has appeared in court charged with killing a baby girl who was hit by a vehicle in a multi-storey car park. 6-month-old Sophia Kellerman from Lee died after the incident in South Wales last month. 33-year-old Flaviu Nagy is accused of causing her death by dangerous driving. The case was adjourned until next month.
Health leaders are urging people to take care and use the NHS wisely this weekend after a yellow cold weather alert was issued for the northwest. It means the chill could impact people's health, especially those who are older or vulnerable. Winter's always a time of increased pressures for the NHS, with high demand for GPs, mental health and emergency services. The latest data shows there were more patients in hospitals last week than at any other point so far this winter.
Well, next to the latest artist in our Granada Introducing series, a jazz and soul singer from Stretford in Manchester.
Yeah, the 28-year-old is celebrating an incredible 12 months where she's wowed audiences in France and now has new fans in Italy after being invited to perform at Vatican City.
Yeah, she's just released her latest EP and is about to headline her own shows, including in Manchester next month.
Well, we've got a real treat for you at the end of the programme, an exclusive first performance of her latest single. But first, Elaine Wilcox caught up with Lucent in our studio too.
And I don't mind hanging on a dark horse. I know if I saw you, there'd be nothing I could do.
The first 4 tracks of the new EP tell a story, the trajectory of my career almost. This next EP, we've called it The Apothecary, and I feel like there's a lot of sort of self-healing, more of a light-hearted feel.
And is that because you have had such an incredible year?
The last year has been like the craziest year of my life, and it was very unexpected. And I think for anybody, whenever you release music, you never know how it will go. There was so much that I wanted to put into this new EP that felt happier, and we've got one in particular that will be coming out on this first part of the EP. It's a track called Summertime, and that's a very jazz influenced performance.
So tell us about those influences.
Growing up in my home in Stretford, my parents' music collection, now what I tend to listen to all the time is Billie Holiday, Ella Fitzgerald, Nina Simone, Miles Davis.
You've just run through my youngest son's playlist. So
Okay.
your generation and younger are listening to the greats, and you seem to be able to span the sort of generations with your music and nationality as well.
France were actually the first country to kind of really get on board, and it was Sweet Tooth.
I hate it 'cause I need you, but when I walk away, your sugar leaves my bloodstream, and then I start to crave.
The French love you so much, and now the Italians, and playing in the Vatican City.
Meeting the Pope, that was truly an honour, of course, and being a Catholic myself, and I brought my mum along with me, who's also a Catholic, and that was, for her, very special as well.
Can you pinpoint when things started to take off?
I wrote Fall For You and Sober on the same day, and for me, that was the first time where I felt like, this is me.
Everything was happy, my heart was broken, but I don't think that you understand. You know that I can be a fool for you.
And you played for the Pope. Who would you like to play for in the future?
I mean, the royal family as well. You know, why not? Let's just dream big. I actually performed in Monaco for Prince Albert.
He could have a word with William or the King.
You never know. You never know. But I know that Kate does the concert every year, so it would be my absolute dream to perform at that Christmas concert. So yeah, there's many dreams, but no expectation.
Well, thank you for playing us out with your latest single on our programme this evening. Great to see you.
Thank you so much for having me. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, fantastic voice, hasn't she?
Oh, such a talent.
Absolutely fascinated by her musical influences as well. You know, Miles Davis, Ella Fitzgerald. Who's on your playlist at the moment?
All the Disney movie soundtracks. And a few rude songs from my boys.
I won't ask you to sing those for us.
Definitely not. Really.
I will have that exclusive performance later in the programme. Also, still to come tonight.
The Wigan twin who could make FA Cup history by facing his brother on the same pitch.
And it's colder, it's cloudier, the wind is from the east. But does this mean snow is on the way? I'll let you know along with all your weekend weather.
And here's what's coming up in the ITV News at 6:30 with Lucrezia.
Coming up on tonight's evening news, shocked and disappointed, one of the women who complained about Gino D'Acampo's behaviour in an ITV News investigation gives her reaction to his denials. Also, how this car ended up on a railway track in Salford, and up for auction, the many treasures of Barry Humphries and his alter ego. Join me for those stories and more at 6:30.
I think I'd suit some of those glasses. A few more Diamantes. Right, on to sport now, and a big weekend of FA Cup action kicks off tonight with Manchester United taking on Leicester City in the 4th round.
Well, David Chisnall can join us live from Old Trafford. David, United could really do with a good cup run to lift the gloom around Old Trafford, couldn't they?
Yeah, that's right, Chris. The FA Cup hugely important to Manchester United as they try to salvage some positives from what's been a pretty dismal season so far. Well, they are the reigning cup holders, and tonight, well, they welcome back a returning club hero as Ruud van Nistelrooy brings his Leicester City team here to Old Trafford. Well, he actually was in caretaker charge here at United earlier on in the season before Ruben Amorim officially took over from Erik ten Hag. Now, despite Amorim not wanting to keep him on as part of his coaching staff, the current United boss says he's not expecting any awkward reunion tonight between the two men.
To Ruud, I was really clear with him, and I explained that I have my team. I will continue the same way, and I will not put a guy like Ruud, a legend of this club, in the end of the hierarchy. I feel a lack of something in the staff. We just need to improve as a team.
It's special to go back there. Of course, the history as a player, history as an assistant manager, history as a caretaker manager. That is part of me and always will be. Good memories there. You take the best bits with you for life. I mean, the medal is in a spot in my home in the Netherlands, so it's there forever. So it's something I cherish. It's something I'm proud of.
Yeah, Ruud reflecting back on some special times here at Old Trafford when he lifted the FA Cup back in 2004. While he's struggling with Leicester right now, he was actually unbeaten when he was the interim manager here at Old Trafford earlier on in the season. He won 3 and drew 1 of his 4 games in charge. He actually has a better win record than the current United boss, Ruben Amorim. Well, of course, the FA Cup holders, they're going to need to do something special here tonight if they are to get through to the next round of the competition and overcome what's been some pretty dismal form as well here at Old Trafford recently. They've lost 5 of their last 6 matches here at Old Trafford. That needs to change tonight. They need to start putting the smiles back on their fans' faces. You can see how they get on. Coverage is live on ITV1 tonight, starting at 7:30.
Yeah, thanks, David. Well, it was a tough time, I suppose, for Ruben Amorim. But remember, Sir Alex Ferguson all those years ago was up against it. He had a good cup run. Look what happened after that.
I'm sure the fans will be hoping that he could emulate Fergie.
Let's hope so.
Well, now, as well as all of our Premier League clubs still in the Cup, we also have Championship sides Burnley and Blackburn and Preston and League One Wigan, the 2013 champions, who are set to make history against Fulham.
Yes, brothers Ryan and Stephen Sessegnon, who grew up playing together at Fulham, could now become the first ever twins to play against each other in the FA Cup, with Stephen hoping to help Wigan pull off the shock of round 4.
We tried to keep our distance. We ain't spoke too much about the game or whatnot. I think we're going to let it come to and then see what happens. But one that's highly anticipated by the family, by the people in the estate, so we look forward to it.
Who on earth are your family supporting?
That's a good question. That is a good question. Everyone loves an upset, so why not Wigan?
Oh, we'd have to go Wigan as well, wouldn't we,
well,
here in the North West?
Wiganer, yeah, I'm a proud Wiganer. I want them to do it as well.
Now, Liverpool already have one Wembley trip to look forward to. Last night, they beat Tottenham 4-0 at Anfield in the second leg of their League Cup semi-final. That made it 4-1 in aggregate, so they'll face Newcastle in the final, and they're still competing in 4 competitions.
I can only tell you that we are, at this moment of time, in a very good place. And I'm not only talking about the result yesterday evening, but the players are fit already. not only the 11 that were on the pitch yesterday, but the ones that came in as well. So we're in a good place, but we also know how long the season still is.
Manchester City will face Chelsea in the Women's Champions League quarter-finals after reaching a League Cup final of their own. Last night they won 2-1 at Arsenal in their semi-final, Mary Fowler scoring a 95th minute winner to set up a clash with Chelsea at Derby's Pride Park next month.
New Bolton boss Steven Schumacher says Wanderers fans can dream of a return to the Premier League. He gets his first taste of the Tough Sheet Stadium this weekend when Bolton face Crawley. A win could lift them into League One playoffs.
We're in a good position in the league, in League One, and obviously the objective is to try and get into the Championship. And then I've said it a couple of times already that there really is no ceiling for this club of what we can achieve if we get the plan right and we all stick together.
Does that mean even Premier League one day?
Let's hope so, yeah. This club's been there before and it's the size and stature of the club that it can get there again.
And we end the sports news with some great news for Salford Rugby League fans. With the new Super League season just a week away, a takeover of the club has been completed. The Red Devils had hit financial problems since last season and were set to sell most of their players after being ordered to cut £800,000 from their budget. But investment banker Dario Berta has today taken full control, wiped their debt and promised significant investment.
Now, it's been absolutely freezing out there today, hasn't it?
It has.
Let's see what the weekend has in store. Here's Nick.
Mum, wet wipes, toilet or bin?
Bin. Why?
United Utilities sponsors ITV Granada weather.
Hello, it's felt colder today, and particularly in the breeze. A lot of cloud coming in, but breaking up as it moved over the Pennines to allow some brighter spells around today. Not much in the way of sunshine, though, to come this weekend. What continues is the chilly feel around this area of high pressure. The air coming in now from the east, coloured blue on the air mass chart here to indicate it's colder than average. But it's not that cold. It's from the east. It's not really a beast. It's only a degree or two below the average for the time of year. We've had far worse. There's a complication now, though, feeding up from the south, this area of low pressure with cloud and some wet weather towards us. I think particularly across southern parts of the region, there'll be some rain, maybe some sleet, some snow to the higher hills as we go through the night and into tomorrow morning. And the weekend will continue on a cloudy note, damp at times, and certainly feeling chilly, and particularly in that easterly breeze. Here's what's going on at the moment and into the night. Well, most of us are dry right now. We're going to see some outbreaks of rain, maybe some sleet and some snow to the higher parts of the Peak District, maybe southern Pennines as well. May just give a light dusting and some icy conditions into the morning, whereas most of us are staying 2 or 3 degrees above freezing, 4 on the Isle of Man for Douglas. But a cloudy grey start to our weekend, damp as well with some patchy, mostly light rain or drizzle around, and not much changing during the day, so hopes of anything bright developing, much less so than we saw today, and highs on the chilly side, so 5-6 degrees, our average temperature at this time of year closer to 7, maybe 8 degrees Celsius. Looking into the week ahead, potential for further snow, maybe only when we transition back to a milder southwesterly, and that seems some distance off for now.
Cleaned up well.
United Utilities sponsors ITV Granada weather.
And that's it for another week on Granada Reports. We're back on Monday at 6 with bulletins, of course, across the weekend.
Now, though, we're going to return to Saint for a Granada Reports exclusive with the first performance of her new single, Neon Lights.
Good night.
Bed is on me, nowhere to go. Bus won't take me far from home. Walking Tip Street like moving ghosts. We dream that run down like we won't roll. We were never going nowhere fast. All the streets I know just take me back to the past. Say I wanna fly, oh show me those neon lights. I need the love will take me to Nessa Heights. I'm missing something lately, my reason why I'm pulling up the driveway into the night. It's somewhere nice. Say I wanna fly, oh show me those neon lights. I need the love will take me to Nessa Heights. Say I'm missing something.